Men have been missing for the village for several years, and one person who has been researching and writing about these cases extensively is Justin Ling. He joins me now as a freelance journalist. Justin, you have been covering missing men in the village for years. How do you think police have handled this?
Yeah, it's tough to say. I mean, did police put in real resources into solving these crimes? Yes, absolutely. Between the first 3 men who were missing in 2010 to 2012 and the 2 most recent men, there was 2 different task forces set up that were dedicated just to researching these missing persons cases. So from that end, from the personnel case, I think they did a pretty good job. But I think the real question now has to be whether or not they really focused on these guys being murdered as opposed to just missing. I can tell you from the outset, police were quick to conclude that they had simply run off or had simply run away, as opposed to really looking at this as a suspicious missing persons case, which I think a lot of people in the village could have told you very quickly should have been their focus.
Right, now you were at a town hall a few months back in the village where members of the LGBTQ community expressed their frustration with the police response. That was then. What's it like now?
I think the frustration is going to continue, and I think you're going to hear more of it as the weeks and months go on and this investigation goes wider. I think when you have 5 different missing persons cases that are all linked by some pretty obvious similarities, and police are kind of refusing to take that leap and start treating it more as a suspicious case and potentially as the circumstance of a serial killer, I think there's going to be questions about why they didn't quite make that leap or why they didn't go a little bit further into investigating that possibility. I think you're going to now see a sort of overview of how police handled the case from day one, whether or not they did substantial enough searches in parks and areas around where the men went missing. I know for a fact that in one circumstance they simply didn't search a park where it's very likely one of the men could have been found. So I think there's a real conversation to be had about whether or not police need to do a full review of how this case and how these cases were handled. I think when you look at the Robert Pickton murders in Vancouver, police really had a lot of soul searching to do after that about how they handled those first instances of missing persons reports up to how they connected all of the cases up to eventually how they arrested Robert Pickton.
Right. Justin Ling, thank you so much for your insight on this.